Hi, and thank you for watching. It has been a while since I last posted a video, but there has just not been anything that really piqued my attention since June last year, until today. I believe the world is now standing right on the cusp of transition, and the time for those who have been patiently waiting for their Redeemer is about to come to an end. As the inauguration of Donald Trump approaches, he has been touching on some strange subjects that include taking back control over the Panama Canal, renaming the Gulf of Mexico to become the Gulf of America, incorporating Canada as the 51st state of the United States, and taking over Greenland, currently belonging to Denmark. This may seem surprising to many, but it really shouldn't be, as those who are controlling world events from behind the scenes have been showing us their plans in plain sight for several years. We just couldn't connect all the dots at the time. You may remember that I made several videos in which I covered the cover of The Economist magazine for the world in 2017, and every time another year passed us by without seeing the events shown to us on this cover transpiring. However, for 2025 there are several aspects shown to us on this cover from 8 years ago that are now extremely relevant, and the connection that hit me today was the fact that a map of Greenland is shown in this image where the world would seem to be cracked. I've always wondered why Greenland featured in this image, as it did not make much sense previously, but today it has a very important meaning. Another aspect of importance jumping out at us from this cover is the associated dates that are signaled. In this image we see a tower that is destroyed with communism and Christianity depicted in the background. And this of course comes from Albert Pike's plan that was penned in 1871. On how to bring about 3 world wars that will open the doors for the Antichrist to become world ruler. The specific part of that plan associated with these 2 cards reads as follows. Then everywhere, the citizens obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries will exterminate those destroyers of civilization, and the multitude, disillusioned with Christianity, whose deistic spirits will from that moment be without compass or direction, anxious for an ideal but without knowing where to render its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, brought finally out in the public view. This manifestation will result from the general reactionary movement which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time. We know that Christianity will never be destroyed or exterminated, but a time will come where those who were given God's authority over the enemy will no longer be able to exercise that authority over them, because of the laws associated with God's harvest model. For those who are interested, I have linked a series on the harvest model in the description below. We see this concept further emphasized in Revelation 13.
And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name, and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints, and to overcome them, and power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world.
The fact that we see 10 flames rising from the destroyed tower would in my opinion point to the time where the 10 kings mentioned in Revelation 17, and represented by the 10 toes that Nebuchadnezzar saw in his dream and mentioned in Daniel 7, will begin their rule. And by the looks of it, we are right on the cusp of that transition. There is also this video in which I discuss Satan's transgression of God's harvest law, and the legal case that can be made against him for those who have not seen it yet. A link is provided in the description below. What is interesting is that both these images have dates associated with them. The first has a connection to Martin Luther's 95 Theses that were pinned to the door of the Catholic Church. This occurred on October 31st, 1517, which would not seem to fit events transpiring in January. However, there is also the connection to Martin Luther's name, which is found in Martin Luther King Day, that occurs on January 20th. We also see a storm in the sky over the tower that would seem to be responsible for the tower's destruction, and 10 flames rising from it. This is interesting because this is also the date on which Donald Trump will be inaugurated, which means that both of these images are signaling January 20th this month. Also remember that this cover came out in 2016 and that all of the turmoil and deception that we have seen in the world over the past 8 years have been part of an elaborate plan that will climax around January 20th this month, when those who are sharing their plans in plain sight with the public intend to introduce the world to the Antichrist. When we consider this image in which the world is introduced to the light of Lucifer, we see the moon positioned at the tail of the constellation Leo. This date falls on January 19th. This would be the date of Trump's last rally before his inauguration the next day, and it would seem that the Greenland issue would in some way be associated with this date, and the events that will transpire. There is another image on this cover that depicts a storm, but it is smaller than the one over the tower. And in my opinion, this image depicts a situation where the world can see the storm on the horizon, and events transpiring that would see the masses rise up against those who are destroying civilization. It is also interesting that the people depicted on this wheel belong to countries that have recently seen their governments in turmoil, including the Netherlands, France, and Germany. We also see 2 ballot boxes on the bottom and 2 X's on it, which could be representing the Roman numerals 10 and 10, or a reference to Tevet 10 on the rabbinical calendar, which also happens to be 9/24 on the Enochian calendar. I will link a video by Brother Dana in the description below that covers more information regarding this Friday for those who would like to dive a little deeper into this. We also know that there is a plan to have an economic crash starting on a Friday, and Tevet 10, or 9/24, happens to occur on a Friday this year, as shown in this clip from the X-Files.
Emergency management agency with no stated purpose. The corporate takeover of food and agriculture, pharmaceuticals and healthcare, even the military in clandestine agendas to fatten, dull, sicken, and control a populace already consumed by consumerism.
And I encourage you all to go shopping more.
A government that taps your phone, collects your data, and monitors your whereabouts with impunity. A government preparing to use that data against you when it strikes. And the final takeover begins.
The takeover of America.
By a well-oiled and well-armed multinational group of elites that will cull, kill, and subjugate.
Happening as we sit here.
It's happening all around us.
The other shoe waiting to drop.
It'll probably start on a Friday. The banks will announce a security action necessitating their computers to go offline all weekend.
Digital money will disappear.
They can just steal your money?
Followed by the detonation of strategic electromagnetic pulse bombs to knock out major grids.
What will seem like an attack on America by terrorists or Russia.
Or a simulated alien invasion using alien replica vehicles that exist and are already in use.
An alien invasion of the U.S.
The Russians tried it in '47.
In Haggai chapter 2, where the 24th day of the 9th month is mentioned 3 times, God announces his intent to shake both heavens and earth, and specifically mentions that the gold and the silver belongs to him, shortly before pointing to what would happen on the 24th day of the 9th month in some future year.
For thus saith the Lord of hosts, Yet once it is a little while, and I will shake the heavens, and the earth, and the sea, and the dry land. And I will shake all nations, and the desire of all nations shall come, and I will fill this house with glory, saith the Lord of hosts. The silver is mine, and the gold is mine, saith the Lord of hosts.
Could what the world will soon be facing be a repeat of what happened to Israel before they escaped from Egypt, where they spoiled the Egyptians' economy and took all their gold and silver with them?
Speak now in the ears of the people, and let every man borrow of his neighbor and every woman of her neighbor jewels of silver and jewels of gold. And the Lord gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians.
Albert Pike explains in The Enemy's Plan that events will transpire that will eventually lead to the light of Lucifer being brought out into public view. And if that event is occurring around the 19th or 20th of this month, then that does not leave much time for the social cataclysm to occur. But without a world economy, one can see how the severity of such an event could be brought about in no time. We also know that the weekend of the 11th and the 12th of January will be the time just before the full moon is reached, which is referenced in Proverbs 7, where we are told that the good man of the house, who went on a long journey, will return at the time of the full moon, and once again we see the mention of economics associated with his departure.
For the good man is not at home, he is gone a long journey. He hath taken a bag of money with him, and will come home at the day appointed.
The day appointed in this passage refers to the time of the full moon. It is also interesting that the moon will be conjunct with the Pleiades cluster representing the 7 churches. This conjunction will occur between 2 and 3 a.m. Universal Time on January 10th. So there is very little time left. I hope this video will bless you, and it is especially intended as encouragement for those who have been desperately waiting for our Redeemer, Jesus Christ, to come for His bride. I pray that you will be found worthy to escape the events that are about to come over the earth. If you are not sure how to be found worthy in the eyes of our Heavenly Father, please watch this video for more information. Something interesting that I would like to close with, I recently discovered in the last chapter of Revelation, and it would seem to confirm what the Holy Spirit showed me with regards to the information in the video that I just referenced. And that is to be found with clean garments at the time of the bride's departure from this world. I was using an interlinear Bible application where one can read the direct translation from Greek into English, and where we read the following in the KJV.
Blessed are they that do His commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life, and may enter in through the gates into the city.
A direct translation from the Greek actually reads as follows, and emphasizes the need for us to have clean garments when we meet our bridegroom. Happy are those who are rinsing their robes, that it will be their license to the tree of life, and they may be entering the portals into the city. Until next time, or until we meet in the air, God bless.